Welcome back to the studio, and finally we finished something. We get the Mini all painted up and it's ready to hit the track. So if you want to see how we did this, just follow along. Alright guys, got a little bit of a head start. I've been looking at several Mini Cooper race liveries. Some of them are very basic, some of them get very complex. We're going to try to meet it in the middle. I don't want to get too crazy on this body. It does have a lot of features that will be difficult to tape around or tape over. I am sticking with the checkerboard roof that I mentioned in the build video, but with a little slight twist here. We're going to go around this vent on the roof because it would be very difficult to get the squares to look right, and it would be difficult to even get them to go inside these little fins that are molded into the roof. So we're going to carry some body color up through here. What I do know what I'm going to do, I'm going to tape just below these glass. And just below the rear glass, I'm going to do all this black. That'll make this black. And then we'll have a black and white roof, but we're going to separate the roof with this fine 16th inch fine line tape. So that'll separate any of the black that meets up against the other black. I do have a picture of a BMW themed paint scheme. I'll post it over here. Just kind of a wavy, the BMW colors, the blue and the red on the side of the hood, and it kind of two tones the body. I think that would look cool, and it wouldn't be super difficult, and all the stripes would be going over. A little bit difficulty going over the grill and the front spoiler, but a little easier than going over these side vents and these wide body fender flares. So try to keep it somewhat simple, but separated a little bit from just being super basic one color paint scheme. All right, before we get too far ahead, we did have the stripes laid out here. Went ahead and put some tape over it. We're going to have our blue, and red. And there's our roof section. I went with the body line. It's almost like there's a molding molded into the body. So we're going to use that as a break. I just used a fine line just to make the curves. That's not going to be a separate color. That's just a easy way to line that out without having to cut anything. Although we did have to cut right here on the fender wells because the fender flares go beyond that molding. I am going to do probably a Guru green splitter just to make it, just to separate it and add a little bit of our color to it. All right, we got her all masked up. I am going to skip out on the stripes on the side, but we just used some 18-inch masking paper. I just pulled some off, save us a little bit of tape. This side of the car is going to be that almost black on a charcoal gray. I whipped up just some black and white, put a little bit of reducer in there, just some wicked black, opaque white, maybe a touch of some opaque black. I did put a few drops, may not be necessary, of the 10 or the 40-50 gloss clear, just to give it a little bit of binder, and just a couple drops of reducer. And once you do all that, you do need to let this sit for about 10-15 minutes before you spray it and let it all emulsify together. So we should have enough to get our body sprayed, just this one side. It's going to be this gray. And yeah, I think we're about ready. So let's get this on there. All right, it's been a minute since we've been in the paint shop, so welcome back. Not a super complex paint job, but welcome back. All right, we're going to leave it at that. It's almost black, almost looks like pencil lead. So, but it's going to be a distinct difference between this and the solid black. So I wanted it to be close, but different. So, so far so good. Let me get this dried up, and we'll proceed. Next color will be white, and we're going to go through the whole process of putting dark colors over white. Yeah, let's get this on, and we'll come right back. All right, there we go. We got 3 coats. 2 was good, but put third one on there just for reassurance. And it's going to look kind of black in the camera, but it is gray. All right, up next, PS1. And the reason why we're using PS1, I could easily use water-based paint, back it with gray. The same process I do every time for doing lights first and putting dark colors over top of it. But I've said it several times in my videos, using white water base and then putting colors over top of it, even if you back it with everything silver, gray, black, and everything, the colors somehow tend to still wick into it. And we're going to have a red stripe, and I don't want the red to bleed into this white and turn it pink. So water base will not react, will not interact with this. They will not bleed together. So we'll put the white down. We'll back it with gray just to make sure it's opaque enough where the colors won't show through it. But we will not have the wicking or bleeding problems that you will have using white water base against it. All right, we got all of our paper pulled off, our tape pulled off. I'm going to wipe it down one more time with a little bit of rubbing alcohol just to get any kind of where I have been in there with my hands, masking and or pulling masking off. Just a little reassurance. I'm going to call this light coats. Let it dry between coats to get the full effect. But to use it properly, you don't want to just pound it on there. So we're going to put a couple light coats of this on there. We do have all the doors open, so we got some good ventilation going because this stuff is toxic. Make sure we got that taped down. This Tamiya spray paint covers really good and dries really fast, so but still take your time. They're still pretty transparent there. I think the gray and white and the black and white and all that's going to go good with the white wheels we got on there. And we will, if I can find it, we'll have a little white number plate in there. So, all right, we got the white on. We got it back with some gray. We're just mixing black and white together, like I said. And then the order that I taped this up, we need to paint this back panel of this body next. And I just mixed up some silver and black and made a charcoal gray metallic. And we're just going to spray that back panel. Once we get that done, then we're on to checkerboard and the roof. We're going to pull this off right quick, and then we will proceed with the gray. All right, we don't want to go to Hammertown again. There's a pretty distinct. Now, the black tail lights do look funny. We're going to paint those red. But you can see a distinct difference between the black and the almost black. It'll all work out. Looks weird now with all the color tape on there, but once it's all said and done, it'll be basically shades of black and white, the whole body. All right, guys, we're going to pop back into the bright room here for a minute. Went ahead and cleaned this corner up. This is the corner that had a little bit of blow through. I did need to do a little bit more, just using our little stick. And I did have to dip it in some alcohol because this is the side of the Tamiya paint. And it is solvent based. It don't come off quite as easy as the water-based paint does. So we got a few more little specks of white there we're going to try to clean off. We're not going to get perfect, but it's going to be better than having a oddly shaped curve. And then we're going to start on this roof. The roof checkerboards are just kind of free-flowing. Just imagine a flag moving. We don't want to get too crazy. There's some wavy lines. Give it some motion. It's going fast, sitting still. All right, there's our first set of lines, and then same deal, just going long ways. You can this grease pencil here, you can just wipe it off. Do it again. You're not committed till you start cutting. There's our wavy checkerboard roof. We'll clean this up a little bit, and I'm simply just going to cut these squares out. I'm going to follow my lines through the inside and pull every other one off. We're going to spray everything black. We're going to spray all of our black stuff first because the roof's going to be black in this vent area. And we'll go ahead and peel our vents out. The vents are going to be black. And we're kind of stuck with the grill until we get the stripes on. So let's get the cutting and get the black on here. All right, guys, got everything pulled out. Be careful not to double pull or to leave anything behind that needs to be black or white when you're spraying whatever color. And also be very careful cutting around this fine line tape because you'll chop it up and it'll come off and you'll lose your curves. because we want to leave that. We're going to paint that red to go with this red stripe, just to break up all the black and gray on the roof. So we're ready to spray some gray. I'm going to pull these grills out right quick, and then we'll head back into the paint room and get this thing sprayed up. All right, we're going to do something a little bit different again. Another product anyways. We're going to go back to the Traxxas Black because I have it. We're going to be really careful around this tape not to get it really wet. You don't want to get the paint build up around these checkers. It will bleed underneath it. And these solvent-based paints are more difficult to clean off, as you've seen around my little corner on the white here. So we're going to get to spraying this super light. We got our vents pulled out. They're going black. And yeah, we're one step closer. All right. I like this Traxxas paint. I like the way it sprays. It atomizes really fine. You don't have the big drops, which the big drops will tend to mess you up on your edges and bleed through your tape. So we've got 0 bleed through so far. There's your extreme close up. It goes on really fine. It's a little bit different than some people don't like it, and I do. I like it. If you got to use spray paint, it is. Actually, it's only like 82 in here and about 90% humidity. So, where are we at on humidity over there? Yeah, we're about 55%, 60% humidity and 82 degrees in here today, according to my thermometer, wherever it went. Where'd it go? That one. All right, we're going to let this dry for a minute. I'm going to pull off, you know what I might do? I might go ahead and paint the stripes, because the stripes have to be backed with white. We're going to try to combine no, wait a minute. I want to do red on the roof too. See, I'm confusing myself. So we need to go ahead and spray the checkers and get them backed up so we can spray the red over them. And then we'll have to go back again and back the red up with white. So that's what we'll do. We'll get this peeled off. We'll spray our checkers, and then we'll be one step closer. All right, I got all the checkers pulled out. Everything came out good, except right here. I did cut my fine line. I had to go back and touch it up. Some of it pulled out with the masking tape. So to keep our pink stripe here, or red stripe, all conformed correctly, we had to touch it up. Just put a little extra piece of tape in there. And now we're going back to the PS1. Yep, PS1. And a couple dust coats of white. Get this thing white. And then we'll proceed to the stripes. We'll check spray. Bam, checkerboard roof. First, we're going to spray. This stripe is 2 shades of blue. It's a dark blue, a lighter blue, and then the red. So we'll do the red last since we have to back it up with white. And yeah, so we mixed up a little bit of fast blue. It's not quite dark enough, so I put a drop of black in it. Be careful putting black in blue. On the water-based side, it will turn it kind of a gray, muddy color. So I did have to go back and add a little bit more blue. It doesn't take much, just to darken it up a little bit. We're going to use our standard blue that we use on everything for our lighter color. But I wanted it to be a pretty distinct difference between the two. So we darkened the fast blue up just a touch. Make sure our tape's down. These solid colors cover really good. Let's blow some air on it, get it dry. Maybe 2 coats. There's our blue stripe. Still looks kind of messy until you get it all together, but it will come together at the end. You got to have a vision. So you got to manifest it. What's it going to look like? It's going to look cool. Let's get to spraying some light blue, and then we'll go on to the last step. Well, almost last step. All right, we're moving on to our generic blue we mix up. Kind of a petty blue. I keep a lot of it around because I use it on a lot of pinstripes. I hate to be a one-trick pony, but it works. I know to stay in my lane. I know what I'm capable of. So this stuff covers really good. Again, it's solid. So we're going to do our stripe here. We got a couple blow-throughs on the red stripe we'll have to clean out before we spray the red. Of course, it would be against the brightest color, so you got to be really careful. So we got to get that cleaned up before we spray the red. And yeah, we are getting close. There's our 2 shades of blue. And the camera, that blue almost looks black too. Everything's looking dark, but we get it in some light and get this film peeled off, you'll really see it. All right, we got everything peeled out that's going to be red. Cleaned up the stripe around the headlight, a little bit around the grill. It's not 1,000,000% perfect, but it's really good. We had to clean up around the edges of this as well. It had a little bit of blow through where we pulled the fine line out. And while we're at it, we're going to go ahead and spray the taillights fluorescent red. It might be a bit much, but I didn't want to have to jump to another paint. And fluorescent red will just make it look like they're lit up. And with fluorescent red, we're using Parma. It's I guess this is still available. I've seen it around. But anybody's fluorescent red will work. Just make sure you get enough of it on there. If you don't get enough on there, it will be fluorescent pink with red-ish. All right, that looks like a neon sign in there. That's 1 coat. See, it's kind of pinkish-ish. We'll probably have to put 3 to maybe 4 coats, light coats. We don't want to put a bunch of it on there and have too much thickness. Thickness is not a good thing either. All right, we got all of our red on. We got it back with white, so it does look red. Taillights look like they're lit up. Next step is we're going to add just a touch of Guru Green to the front lip. Same process, light coats. You don't want to put a ton of it on there because this is water-based red, and that's the green that's kind of on the yellow side. There's a possibility of that actually bleeding together in the future, so we're going to make sure that's good and dry before we spray it. All right, guys, we got our Guru Green lip on the front, and we're getting some much needed liquid sunshine out there, so I'm going to have to halt operations for a minute before we spray this flat clear. Only thing we got left to do is that, and we're going to do a little brushed aluminum effect on the grill. So we're going to take a break. Once this clears up a little bit, we'll wrap this thing up. All right, we got everything on. We are now going to spray the grill. I'm going to show you how we're going to do the brushed aluminum look. We're going to use chrome paint. I think I'm going to leave the headlights black, and we may do some rivets around them, make it look like they've been capped off. I think the chrome headlights will be too much chrome going on here, so let's show you what we're going to do here, and we'll get this chrome sprayed, and then the only thing left is the flat clear on the back, and then we'll be ready to unveil this thing. All right, we are going to do the grill in chrome, but normally you would not ever use chrome with, you'd never scuff the body using chrome because you will see all the scratches, but you can control the scratch. You can get some cool effects. You can take this and put it on a Dremel. You can glue it down. I put it on a disc and glued it to the disc. You can do spun aluminum. You can do a gold leaf effect, but you can also get a brushed aluminum look. So we're going to do this grill in brushed aluminum. So we got the little red Scotch-Brite. We're just going to scuff just kind of one direction, but back and forth. We're not going up and down and getting the scratch going all kinds of different directions. So we're going to go side to side. Could have done this prior to taping it up, but it still worked just fine doing it right now. Just be careful and make sure your paint's dry before you go sanding it off or sticking a Scotch-Brite in it. That ought to be pretty much enough right there. We just wanted to dull it out a little bit, get a controlled scratch going both the same direction, and we're ready to spray some chrome. All right, we're going to use yet another brand of paint. We're using the Spaz Chrome. This is my favorite chrome for doing chrome stuff. Dries super fast. It's not going to take much because we're doing a brushed effect too, so if we're a little bit thin on it, it won't be as noticeable. There's our brushed grill. All right, we got the headlights painted black. We backed out the grill. We had to back up the chrome. I went ahead and trimmed the overspray film around the taillights and this rear back panel. It's still really humid. I may turn my fan on. We're going to risk it. We need to do it today so we can get it knocked out. So we're going to get some air flowing in here and hit it with the hair dryer as soon as it gets on there. Try to get the moisture out of the air as possible, quick as possible, so it don't blush. Spraying that flat clear in a very humid environment will sometimes turn white, and the white doesn't go away. It just stays cloudy. So we're going to get the fan going, hit it with the heat, and try to get this thing wrapped up. All right, we got the noisemaker on. We're going to set our stool up here and just I wouldn't risk this if it wasn't in such a small area. If I was doing a whole body, I definitely wouldn't try to do this today. But I think, seeing how we're just doing like about a 4-inch square, it ought to be, well, a risk or minimal versus ruining a whole body. So we're going to try it and see what happens. All right, here goes nothing. Spaz matte clear. There's your part number. I'm going to let that one do its thing for just a second, and we'll hit it with another one. Then we're going to immediately hit it with some heat and try to get any kind of moisture away from it. All right, guys, that's the a wrap for the painting portion of today's video. We got it backed up with gray just to make it look finished inside, not necessary. And we've got our flat clear sprayed on the back. Turned out pretty good. I would not have tried to do this any more than that, because you can see on the white, or this is actually gray right here. You can see how milky it got. This is on the overspray film, so not to worry. But that's why I would not have tried this if we were doing like a whole roof or a whole car. Would not have done it today because of the humidity is just too high. But now it's time for the most satisfying part of painting your body. After all your hard work today, peel off this film, if you can get it started, and reveal your handiwork. There we go. Check it out. Not quite black. It's almost black. There's our brushed grill. It actually tried to blush a little bit. That silver did, or that chrome, because the chrome is a lacquer-based paint also. And in this situation, we kind of needed it to be kind of blushed anyway, so it gave us that brushed aluminum look. The scratches didn't show up as much as I wanted them to, but it does look aluminum. Don't look chrome. We didn't want a lot of bling on this body, other than the neon bumpers. But I did leave these covered up when we sprayed the flat clear, so we got shiny lights, and almost I left a little hint of the gray around it, so you got kind of a shiny bezel. Just a little added detail. I did go back and cut the window mask and sprayed these two mounts black. They are covered up by the window mask when you put the window mask in. But there you go. There's our Mini. We're going to get the big old box of decals out here and see if we can find some contingency decals, maybe some number plates, and decal this thing out a little bit. But there you have it. And off camera, I did paint the wing. The wing's just going to go white. That'll help break up all the colors on the top, and I think that looks cool like that. So yeah, hang on a minute. Let's get the decals out and get this thing looking like a race car. All right, guys, a little bonus footage here. We're going to take the little bat cave onto the track tonight and do a little bit of test and tune here at the Turn and Burn. No racing tonight. We're just going to give it a little shakedown run. All right, shakedown run tonight. We're going to play it safe, and we're going to run it on the oval. Only thing I've added since the video is I think I flipped the motor back over to the right side, and we added the two more rubber bands to the rear pod to stiffen it up, since we are running on the oval and it's a high bike track. Stiffer is probably a little bit better. So hopefully we don't knock the paint off this thing. It's brand new, as you see. So stay tuned. All right, first time out. Try to knock the walls down.
5 left. 5 left.
No diff. She's pulling hard to the left. We're going to dumb it down a little bit. We're at 150% throttle. I think we should start about 50. Keep this a little more realistic so we can drive it.
5 3. 5 3. 5 3.
Off a few times, so it's going to bounce its way off. Probably a drop of shoe goo.
5 2.
I think that's the recommended method.
5 1.
If you have them on there, you can't really get to the nut, so you have to get them back off.
5 3.
If you drop a shoe goo, you can actually service it. The fact that we hit the wall, and it only did that, and I just rubbed it off with my finger, still new. But that was not even quarter throttle at 75% on throttle on the end point. So we'll go down to about 40% and see if we can hold it wide open.
Ooh.
It's not going to get any air to it.
There's no room for a fan.
There's no room for a fan.
It's a tiny little car.
It's cold. I can hold it. I don't know if we're geared good or not. I don't know if we're over, under. It's definitely over for the road or the oval and two sail. It's ballistic.
Who
It'll
knew?
literally jump off of the track.
Who knew that a Tamiya motor would be that fast?
Let's put the torque tune in there, the slower of the two, not
Yeah.
the sport tune.
Yeah. Horsepowers.
Blow the tires off the wheels. All right, we made a few changes. Notice one of the suspension blocks here. That one. It's got a kind of a, see that kind of curve in it right there? It's giving us too much positive camber. And it's a little bit better. Well, it's a lot better. So hopefully that'll fix them. We got the steering blocks are sticking a little bit. They need a little bit of polishing. But other than that, this thing's so far so good. It's a blast to drive. It's just it's a handful when you got full power. You cannot drive it. Too much power.
4 1. 5 4. 4 3.
Lord Jesus.
5 3. 5 3.
All right, a few changes we made did make it more drivable, but this thing is quick through the corners. And I actually traction rolled and put it in the bushes over there.
$19.8. 4 4. 4 3.
So maybe more servo. It's quick for servo savers. When you can hold it, it's quick. When it starts to wander, it wanders on its own.
He was keeping up with that car that was running 4.
They were running 4.2s and I was passing him, so we're in the 3s. And that's at 40%.
With a Tamiya motor.
With a Tamiya motor. Oh yeah. Good as new.
Middle 33, Patrick 38, Billy 25, 21, Billy 26, Billy 25, Patrick 26.
All right, guys, that's a wrap. Pretty fun on the track. We'll try to get it back in here before too long and get on the road course and actually have a video of the race. Nobody else has got one yet, but we got a couple people on the hook, so maybe we'll get a couple more out here. And if anything, we'll see some more TTO2 racing. So stay tuned for road course and subscribe.